In this lesson, we're going to learn how to extrude polygons of an editable piece of geometry inside of 3ds Max. So in the last lesson, we talked about sub-objects, and we kind of started to talk about polygons and how we can use those to build the major masses of a model. And what we're going to use is the extrude tool, which is one of the major tools used during modeling. So let's go ahead and create a cylinder. And I'm just going to click and drag one in, not really worried about the size or anything just yet. And what I want to do is go ahead and discuss the different types of extrusions that are available and how we could actually use them. So the first thing that we need to do before we can even begin to use extrude is to convert this object over to an editable piece of geometry. So let's right click on our cylinder, let's go to convert to, and we're going to go to editable poly. Now you can see that this is an editable poly piece of geometry, and now we can access polygon mode. So what I want to do is go to my front view, and I just want to go ahead and select just this row of polygons. I'm just holding down my left mouse button and doing that marquee selection. So what I've done is selected just this top row of polygons here, and we're going to go down to our extrude tool. And if you're having some trouble moving down in your menu, you can get this little hand icon and just click and drag and move your mouse up, and this will take you down in your menu. If that's not helpful, if you want to click on this little bar here on the side, it's kind of hard to grab a hold of sometimes, but you can click and drag this down and this will take your menu up. Okay? So let's go ahead and go to extrude, but what we're going to do is we're going to actually use the settings box next to extrude first, simply because there are some options in here that we really need to know about in this lesson. So let's hit settings next to extrude, and you'll notice that it has changed our object here. We've started to edit this geometry just by using extrude, but what you'll notice is that the polygons we had selected are trying to extrude in one direction, and they're trying to extrude together in one direction. It's really tearing up this model. So with multiple polygons selected like this, selecting or extruding by group can really mess things up. So we want to change our extrusion type from group to local normal. And you can just click on this little arrow here and it'll bring up this menu. So let's go to local normal and see what that result looks like. Now it's gone ahead and extruded this out in its own direction, while still keeping the polygons grouped or together at the seams. Now if we take a look at by polygon, you'll see that it extrudes these out in their own local direction, but goes ahead and cuts the seam and extrudes them out individually. So we could get some different results by using these different extrusion types. Now let's go back to our local normal, and we can actually adjust the height or the depth of our extrusion here. So if we take this up, we get more of an extrusion to where if we take this really far out, we could build something like a table. Okay. If we take this in a little bit smaller, this begins to look like maybe a pipe or something like that. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is go ahead and hit OK on this just to finalize that extrusion. And what you could do is actually extrude in a negative direction. So if I select this polygon right here, what I'm going to do is scale this in just a little bit, because I'm going to actually extrude this polygon down inside of this cylinder. And I don't want that polygon to clip through my side. So I just scaled it in the Y and the X here. And now let's go ahead and hit that extrude settings box. But now let's take it in a negative direction. So now we have negative 33 here, And now it's kind of creating a hole. So we've created something that looks like a pipe. Okay? So we can hit OK on this, and that extrusion is finalized. Now there are other ways that we could extrude geometry. So let me go ahead and select these polygons here, and let's actually just use extrude. So let's highlight extrude here, or activate extrude, and this will allow me to actually click and drag on selected polygons and extrude that way. Now because we've been extruding with our local normal, it's going to go ahead and extrude with local normal. So let me actually hit undo one time, and let's go to our settings box, and let's change this from local normal to group, and let's just hit cancel on this. And now let's go ahead and use that same technique by activating extrude and clicking and dragging, and now you'll see that it's extruding by group. Okay? So I just want you to know that if you use this, you need to make sure that you have your extrusion type set. Okay? So let's cancel that and hit undo. Now, we've been using this group type extrusion, but you really haven't seen any good examples of when to use group extrusion. Well, I can tell you that using group extrusions on cylinders all the way around like this is not a good idea, as we've seen. But if we select isolated amounts of polygons and we use that extrude by group, you can see that you get some pretty good results. So group is not useless. Okay? So if I want to take this in a positive direction, I get something that looks like it could be a wing or something like that on a piece of geometry. We could take it in a negative direction and make a little bit of a hole here. So maybe now this is a bit of a groove inside of a model. Okay, so we can hit apply or hit OK to that. Now I want to show you one more thing. Let's select something out here. Let's just select like 4 polygons out here. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit that settings box, and we're going to take this in a positive direction. And we've been hitting this OK. But you'll see in this caddy that we have this plus sign, and what this is apply and continue. So what this is going to do is go ahead and say OK to this extrusion and then extrude one more time. So let's hit this plus sign, and you'll see that we have that extrusion plus one more. So if we keep hitting this extrude apply, we keep getting that extrusion at this height. So once we're completely finished, we'll hit OK on this. Okay, so far we've seen several different ways that we can use extrusion, and hopefully by now you're coming up with some ideas on how you can use extrusion to create models that you would like to create. Now in the next lesson, what we're going to talk about is animation and just the basics of keyframing in animation.